If you are the kind of person who likes to use English not only for work or travel, but also to understand yourself better, you can subscribe and keep these reflections close to your routine. Let us begin. Feeling lost in life is one of the most human experiences. You wake up and think, what am I doing? Where am I going? Is this really my life? From the outside, things might seem fine. You have responsibilities. You have people around you. You have a routine. But inside, something feels off. It is like walking in a fog. You see shapes, but not a clear path. You might think, everyone else seems to know what they are doing. Why am I the one who feels this way? Today, I want to talk with you about this feeling of being lost. Not to magically remove it, but to understand it, to normalize it, and to show how it can become a starting point instead of a prison. We will explore why feeling lost is often a sign of growth, not failure. How modern life and social media intensify this confusion. The different types of lost you might be experiencing. The hidden expectations that make you feel behind. And some gentle ways to move from confusion to direction without forcing yourself into a fake certainty. Let us start with something important. Feeling lost does not mean you are broken. It often means that the old map you were using for life stopped working. But you have not found a new map yet. Maybe your old map was, do well in school, get a stable job, make your family proud, find a partner, buy some things, keep going. Or maybe it was, be the perfect friend, be the hero, be the strong one, always know what you are doing. At some point, that script stops making sense. You achieve some things and still feel empty. You follow the rules and still feel restless. You do what you were supposed to do and still feel lost. This moment is painful, but also powerful. It is the moment when life says, the automatic mode is no longer enough for you. Now let us talk about the world you live in. Your grandparents probably had fewer options. In many places, the path was more defined. You do this kind of work. You live here. You follow these rules. Today, you are surrounded by infinite choices. You can change careers multiple times, move countries, date people from anywhere, start a business from your phone, learn any skill online. This sounds like freedom, but it also creates a silent pressure. If I can do anything, why am I not doing something amazing? If I have so many options, what if I choose wrong? What if there is a better life I am not living? On top of that, you have social media, other people's highlights constantly in your face. Someone your age has the perfect body. Someone your age is traveling the world. Someone your age bought a house. Someone your age built a company. Someone your age has a family. You look at your life and you think, I am behind. I am lost. I missed something. But you are comparing your internal confusion with other people's edited moments. You see their result, not their doubts. This comparison makes the feeling of being lost much heavier. Now let us look at different types of lost. You might recognize yourself in one or more. First, there is the career or direction lost. You do not know what you want to do with your work. Maybe you are in a job that pays the bills but does not feel meaningful. Maybe you are changing areas and have no clear plan. Maybe you finished your studies and have no idea what comes next. You wake up thinking, I am just going through the motions. Second, there is the identity lost. You are not sure who you are anymore. Maybe a relationship ended. Maybe you moved to a new place. Maybe you stopped believing in something that used to guide you. Maybe you changed more than you expected. You look in the mirror and feel, I do not recognize myself fully. Third, there is the emotional lost. You feel numb or overwhelmed or empty, but cannot explain exactly why. You might not be in a clear crisis, but you also do not feel fully alive. You may avoid thinking deeply, escape into screens, stay busy to not feel. Fourth, there is the lost in comparison. If you were alone on the planet, you might feel okay. But surrounded by other people's achievements, you feel like a failure. You constantly check where you are relative to others. Age, salary, relationship status, body, followers, status. Your sense of direction depends on how you think you rank. Whatever your combination is, it is important to see this. Feeling lost is not always a sign that your life is wrong. Sometimes, it is a sign that your way of looking at your life is incomplete. Often, feeling lost appears when there is a gap between two things: the life you are living and the life you think you are supposed to be living. The second one is often influenced by family expectations, cultural messages, social media standards, perfectionist fantasies. For example, maybe you believe that by a certain age you should have a clear career, be in a stable relationship, own certain things, have emotional stability, know exactly who you are. If reality does not match that list, you conclude, I am lost. But what if that list was unrealistic from the beginning? What if nobody really has all of that figured out, they just hide the chaos better? Now I want to invite you to look at your feeling of being lost with curiosity instead of only fear. Imagine that this feeling is a message, not a verdict. Maybe it is saying things like, you have outgrown this version of your life. You have been living for other people's expectations for too long. You are disconnected from what really matters to you. You have been on automatic mode and your deeper self is knocking on the door. If this is true, then the feeling of being lost is not your enemy. It is a signal. But how do you work with it in practice? Let us take it step by step. First, you need to slow down enough to actually feel it. Many people try to solve the feeling of being lost by adding more activity, more work, more projects, more distractions, more apps, more noise, because silence is scary. In silence, questions appear. Is this what I want? What am I avoiding? What am I afraid to admit? If you want to move through this phase, you will need small moments of honesty with yourself. You do not need a silent retreat in the mountains. You can start with 10 minutes without your phone, a walk without headphones, sitting on your bed and writing whatever is on your mind. In that space, ask yourself simple questions. Not, what is my life purpose forever? But, what feels wrong lately? What feels right? What am I tired of pretending? What am I secretly wanting more of? Do not censor yourself. You do not need to act on everything you write. You are just taking a picture of your inner landscape. Second, understand that clarity rarely arrives in one big moment. Most people imagine a kind of movie scene. You go to the beach, you look at the horizon, and suddenly, everything becomes clear. In reality, clarity often comes in small pieces. You realize, this environment is draining me. This relationship is not aligned anymore. I feel alive when I do this activity. I keep saying yes to things I actively dislike. You collect these small insights. Over time, they point in a certain direction. So instead of demanding from yourself a full life plan, you can ask, what is one thing I know is not working anymore? And what is one small experiment I can do in the direction of something that feels more true? Third, release the idea that there is only one perfect path and that you are in danger of choosing wrong. This belief creates paralysis. You think, if I choose this career, I close that door forever. If I move to this place, I might regret it. If I end this relationship, what if I never find anyone again? So you stay frozen. But life is more flexible than that. You can change careers more than once. You can move and move again. You can love more than one person in a lifetime. You can reinvent yourself at different ages. Every choice has consequences. Yes, but staying in the same place also has consequences. Not choosing is also a choice. Ask yourself, if I change nothing, where will this likely take me in 5 years? Am I okay with that? If not, then even an imperfect step is better than endless analysis. Fourth, question the timelines you are using to judge yourself. Whose clock are you following? Your culture might say, you must achieve X by 30. You must have Y by 40. But your life is not a race with fixed checkpoints. Some people find their path early. Others take longer. Some start one career and change in midlife. Some discover love later than expected. Some need years of wandering before something clicks. You are not late. You are on your own schedule. This does not mean you sit and wait passively. It means you stop punishing yourself for not being where someone else's story says you should be. Fifth, notice the role of exhaustion. Sometimes you feel lost, not because you lack direction, but because you are simply tired. Tired bodies create tired minds. If you are sleeping poorly, stressed constantly, overworking, ignoring your basic needs, your brain will have difficulty feeling motivated or clear. Everything will feel heavier. So before concluding, I have no purpose. It is worth asking, am I just exhausted? Sometimes the first step out of the fog is not a big life decision. It is rest, better sleep, a break from constant stimulation, basic self-care. When your nervous system is calmer, it is easier to see your next step. Now let us talk about something uncomfortable. Being lost can also be a way to avoid responsibility. This is not always the case, but sometimes it is. If you tell yourself, I am lost, I do not know what to do, you may be protecting yourself from the risk of trying. Because if you choose a path and it does not work, you feel you have failed. As long as you stay in confusion, you can keep the fantasy. I could have been great if only I knew what to do. Facing this is not about blaming yourself. It is about honesty. Ask, is part of my lostness actually fear of commitment, fear of failure, or fear of disapproval? If the answer is yes, you can be gentle with yourself, but also firm. You do not need to feel ready to act. You can act while afraid. Feeling lost does not disappear first and then you move. Very often you move, and slowly the feeling of being lost decreases. Action creates information. No action keeps you in theory forever. Now what can you do practically if you are in this phase? Let us keep it simple. You can think of 3 movements. Looking inside, looking around, moving a little. Looking inside means Writing about how you feel, naming what is not working, remembering moments in your life when you felt more alive or more like yourself. Looking around means paying attention to your environment. Who are you spending time with? What kind of conversations are you having? What content are you consuming? If you are surrounded by negative, cynical, or superficial energy all the time, it is harder to find direction. You may not be able to change your environment completely right now, but you can adjust a little. One different book, one different conversation, one different kind of content. Moving a little means choosing one small experiment. For example, if you feel lost in career, you can take a short course in something that interests you. Talk to someone who works in an area you are curious about. Volunteer or test a small project. If you feel lost in relationships, you can be honest once in a place where you usually hide your feelings. Reduce contact with one person who drains you. Reach out to someone you have lost contact with but still value. If you feel lost in yourself, you can try therapy or counseling if possible. Start a daily or weekly reflection habit. Introduce one activity that is just for you, not for productivity. The point is not to fix your whole life this month. The point is to create movement. Even 2 degrees of change in direction over time leads to a completely different place. Before we close, there is one more perspective. Many wise people in different traditions have seen feeling lost as a natural part of the human journey. It often appears when you leave old identities behind, when you are between chapters, when something deep inside you is reorganizing. In that sense, feeling lost can be seen as a kind of inner transition. Not comfortable, not easy, but meaningful. You do not need to romanticize the pain. You also do not need to assume it means you are failing at life. You are in a process. So, let us simplify. You are not the only one who feels this way. Your worth is not measured by how clear your path looks. You do not need a perfect map to take the next step. Your feeling of being lost is information, not a final judgment. Ask yourself gently, what is one small way I can honor where I am, and at the same time move one step closer to a life that feels a little more honest, a little more mine? Maybe it is resting instead of forcing, saying no instead of performing, trying something new instead of only complaining, asking for help instead of pretending you are fine. You may still feel a bit lost tomorrow. That is okay. Direction is built quietly. One question, one decision, one conversation, one small act of courage at a time. Thank you for watching.